We finally have an Avengers Doomsday plot leak that doesn't involve Tobey Maguire Spider-Man dying, which is my one rule. He can't die in this film, although it sounds like a lot of people are indeed going to die in this film. What is going on, Cosmic Crew? Thanks for stopping by the channel today. It's a pretty big plot leak, and it does line up with what we have heard before, except it offers a little bit more clarity to some scenes that we might have had questions about. And one of those scenes is the opening scene, which pretty much all the insiders at this point in time say it is between Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, and of course Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool and the X-Men. It's a pretty big scene, but it looks like it's a big setup for Secret Wars, and I'll explain what that is in this video with this plot leak. Let's not waste any time. Really cool details in this one, and like I said, offers more clarity as to some scenes that we were confused about before. But let's begin. It says, the fight between Wolverine and Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man is the opening scene in the film. Again, we've heard that from a lot of people, but here's where it's a little bit different, and here's some more details. Deadpool and Wolverine deliver a bomb designed by Beast to destroy Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man universe and stop the incursion. Deadpool manages to escape before the explosion. Hugh and Tobey's characters are supposedly killed, but it's later revealed that they survived. I think this is going to be incredibly important. And even the next line says they potentially become two key characters who kick off the main plot of Secret Wars, as they are the only ones who remember the universe before Battleworld. This is big. I've actually talked about this in a few videos. When we get to Battleworld, if the ending is true and Doctor Doom really does end up being the sole survivor, and he ends up resurrecting people and putting them on Battleworld, they are not going to remember the past. That is what we assumed for a long time. That's what I've assumed, because that's how it is in the Secret Wars comics on Battleworld. They don't remember the past. And this makes sense, but I've always said there has to be a group of people that survive, whether that's life rafts or the void, which is where I believe that some people are going to survive. And doing so, and being there, they are going to remember the past. And once they're on Battleworld, they're going to try and awaken people, and that's how kind of an army starts to form against Doctor Doom. But it sounds like Hugh Jackman's Wolverine and Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man are going to be kind of the key players in Secret Wars, which I love. I do love this a lot. We will continue though. Battleworld is essentially a recreated version of the multiverse. So at this point in time in Avengers Doomsday, it sounds like we jump right in. Like a bunch of universes have already been destroyed. Incursions are happening left and right. In fact, the opening scene right here suggests, and other insiders have said this as well, the X-Men have been through many incursions at this point in time. So many that it looks like they have a pretty solid plan every time they go into an incursion. They have a bomb that Beast, Hank McCoy, who's incredibly smart, right? Probably the smartest person of that universe. We don't know who's in it, but I assume he has designed a bomb to destroy the other universe that's about to collide with theirs. And in doing so, they save their universe. So they've done this enough times to where it's kind of like clockwork for them now. Well, okay, let's get the bomb ready. We have a new one. We have a lot of bombs in store already. Let's go to that universe, put the bomb down, everybody leave. We're good. I like this one though, because it says they're supposedly killed. So it's going to make it look like they're killed. Other reports say that they do get killed, but I never really believed that they were going to die. I did always assume we're supposed to believe that they die, but this says they don't, which I love. So this one's really interesting. And we have a new report from John Campea today about this as well. Dr. Doom is not a villain for most of the film. Only a tragic revelation of truth pushes Steve to turn against him. Now, I'm going to add to this because it's what John Campea said. Not Tony, but Doom, you never see the fact that he looks like Tony. He doesn't take his mask off. He doesn't show people that he looks like Tony Stark. He never shows his face in the film to the other people. To us, the audience, we see it. And of course we know because it's Avengers Doomsday starring Robert Downey Jr. and he walked out on stage, etc., etc. We already know, of course. But I actually like this. And I've been reading some comments online, and I think a lot of other people like this as well, because it's not playing into the fact, at least not in Doomsday, it's not playing into the fact that it's like, oh, hey, Robert Downey Jr. is back. right? Remember Iron Man? Well, he's Victor Von Doom now. Oh, and the Avengers are so confused. And a lot of people were really thinking that that might be kind of hokey and it's kind of just maybe like a cheap play. But this says that the Avengers aren't really going to know, at least not until Secret Wars, which means it really is a strategic casting for the story that they brought Robert Downey Jr. back, which I think is a great thing because it should always be story first. Always be story driven first. Everything else can fall in line after that, but the story has to be solid. And it sounds like that is something that they do have. So he's not a villain for most of the film to the Avengers, to the X-Men, to the Fantastic Four, but to us, we know. Because there are going to be scenes where it's revealed. Obviously, it's Robert Downey Jr. Looks like Tony Stark, and he has ulterior motives, right? So it's all building to kind of like a big reveal in the movie for the Avengers, and of course for us audience as well. Even though we'll know, we'll be waiting and anticipating them finding out. So I like that. The tragic revelation, we're not 100% sure what that is. Some people have reported that Loki gives Steve a card, a TVA temp pad maybe, to go find him, and him, Steve Rogers, and Thor, because Steve tells Thor about Loki, they go to find Loki, but he's dead. Doom has already killed him. And that could be the revelation. I mean, it's right in front of you, right on the nose. That could be what it is, but we'll have to wait and see. It continues and says, Doom has masked followers in his castle in Latveria, but this is not a multiversal team. That's really interesting. We've recently heard that it's going to be Doctor Strange, Clea, and maybe the Scarlet Witch even. And yeah, that wouldn't be multiversal except for Clea. And she's coming from wherever Doom is coming, I'm sure. Loki's role in the film is small. However, his power plays a massive part in the creation of Battleworld. We've heard this before. And it also says Loki, as the god of stories, is directly tied to one of the film's most significant moments, which is really interesting because we haven't heard too much about Loki and his power as the god of stories. He has immense power right now, but he plays a massive part in the creation of Battleworld. That is what I assume because, well, unfortunately, I don't think Loki himself really does anything, but I think Doom takes his powers. And Doom, kind of inheriting the power of the god of stories, is able to take all the branches that were attached to Loki, or at least, a handful of them, and create Battleworld out of those branches. That is what I believe. I did a video on that. You can check that out if you want. But that's what I think. Let me know what you think about that in the comments down below. Now, here's some things that we've heard before. You may have seen reports that Loki was filming at Steve and Peggy's house, and Tom Hiddleston was. Yes, that's true. The scene takes place before season 2 of Loki, which is another report we've heard recently, which is very interesting. This is when he is still working with the TVA. He gives Steve a TVA card so he can contact him again if needed. We've heard that. He warned Steve about the pruning because he wasn't supposed to do what he did, but essentially offers him a witness protection style deal. Relocation to a universe where Steve Rogers never existed. What Loki doesn't know is that the presence of someone in a universe they don't belong to is a direct catalyst for an incursion. That is when time runs out begins. This is what they explain to us in Multiverse of Madness. If a person from one universe goes to another universe, it confuses and destabilizes the universe that they are in. And from other leaks that we've heard and pieces that we've put together, it does also sound like it brings that one universe that the person is in to the universe that the person is supposed to be in. So therefore, Steve Rogers going to the 828 universe is drawing that universe closer to his home universe, the 616 universe, until eventually they run into each other. That's one of the, I would say, few clearly established rules for the Marvel Cinematic Universe so far, because there have been some rules that have been not quite clear when it comes to the multiverse, and I think that's one thing that Avengers Doomsday does need to do. They need to establish some very clear rules for the multiverse, for incursions, once we get into the movie. So time runs out begins with that, and it says that Steve's relocation to another universe leads to the death of Doctor Doom's family. Now, we used to think that Doctor Doom was on another planet, and Steve caused an incursion, and that incursion destroyed his planet. But now it kind of seems like Doctor Doom realizes that the incursion is going to happen. He realizes that other planets have gone through incursions and died. So he starts to build a device to save his planet and save the multiverse from incursions. But unfortunately, that device kind of explodes, scars him, and kills his family. That's why we've heard a lot of the reports say Dr. Doom blames Steve Rogers and he seeks revenge on him because, well, I mean, the incursion kind of is his fault. But of course, Dr. Doom creating the device, it exploding and killing his family, kind of comic accurate, but it's also his fault. I say it's kind of comic accurate because he builds the device in the comics to speak to his mother. Reed kind of warns him against it. It explodes, scars his face, and that's kind of why another reason why he doesn't really like Reed Richards. So it does state that Steve and Peggy live in Universe 828 for about 10 years. So their son might be relatively not grown up, but he's not a baby. Could be 8, 9, 10 years old. Reed is unaware of them until Doom asks him whether someone could exist in their universe who doesn't belong there. Reed uses a device to scan for anomalies, and they discover Steve. Reed and Doom devise a plan to contain the incursions. The Avengers and the X-Men implement it on each of their respective Earths, but 2 Avengers learn the truth about Doom, and we're pretty sure those 2 Avengers are Steve and Thor. Steve has the temp pad to go look at Loki. Steve tells Thor about his brother, or at least a variant of his brother. They want to go see him. They realize Doom has killed him. And then this says that the final battle takes place in Latveria, at Dr. Doom's castle. Present there are the Avengers, the Fantastic Four, the X-Men, and certain divine reinforcements. What I believe this is the report that we've heard about Thor praying to Odin, and Odin sending Thor an army from Valhalla, which I think is going to be pretty cool. But I also think it's going to be really interesting because clearly Doom wins. So Dr. Doom is able to go against the Avengers, the Fantastic Four, the X-Men, and an army from Valhalla and still win, which I think is actually pretty dang cool. I think, Dr. Doom obviously needs to be shown as the superior villain here, stronger than Thanos, stronger than Ultron, stronger than anybody we've seen before. And Loki is actually included in one of those villains. And there was a really interesting question asked in my live stream yesterday. Would the original Loki that we followed throughout the entirety of the MCU up until Loki season 1, the Loki who died in Infinity War, since he died, would he have gone to Valhalla? And if Odin sends an army, will Loki be a part of that Valhallan army? That's very interesting to think about. And if this Loki actually does die as well, will he go to Valhalla and then there's going to be 2 Lokis there? We're unsure about how that works, but it is an interesting question. Could Loki come back? Any of these 2 different versions of Loki? Hopefully the main Loki that we've been used to dealing with, but could this Loki come back as a part of that army? I think that would be pretty cool to see. And I really do want to see the reunion between Loki and Thor. Unless Loki comes with this divine reinforcements, I don't think they get really a chance to see each other in Avengers Doomsday. It might be saved until Secret Wars, which I hope not. I really want to see this. I do. I really want to see this. So I hope he comes with that divine army. And based on what we know, yeah, Doom wins. I mean, basically, Doom wins. And there's a lot of things that this does not mention, because these are trying to talk about new details like the Avengers versus the X-Men, the stuff that happens in Wakanda, Dr. Doom manipulating a bunch of different people. It's funny that we get certain plot details and it seems like we know a lot about the movie, but we still don't know a ton about it. And like with any leak, we take it with a grain of salt, but this seems to be kind of what everybody has been talking about. So a lot of this is probably true. So if this is how the movie goes, do you like this? Would this be a good movie, a great movie, a fantastic movie? Keep in mind, it's just words on paper right now. You can't visually see anything, obviously, but if this is how it goes down, will you like it? Let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the latest Avengers, Doomsday, and Marvel news. And you can also find us on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and Snapchat. As always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.